Assalamu alaikum everyone. Hello and good evening. I'm your host Hamza Rahman from FES and I'm back with another live session for you guys as promised. So today we are going to talk about one of the finest university of United Kingdom again, which is Liverpool John Moores, located in the beautiful land of Liverpool. I'm here live with Mr. Nicholas Pitt, the International Recruitment Officer, and Mr. Shakil Chaudhry, the Head of Farming. How are you both?
I'm well, thank you.
How are you? So I would like to ask you guys, so please introduce yourself to all the viewers who are watching us live on Facebook. And as we are live on Facebook, please.
Yeah, so my name's Nick and I'm the International Recruitment Officer at Liverpool John Moores University. I've recently taken over the Pakistan market for the university, so I'm very much looking forward to working more with FES and meeting many students from Pakistan. I was actually due to be out there in March. Unfortunately, that had to be cancelled, so I very much look forward to travelling to Pakistan in the next few months, hopefully when things settle down a little bit. But yeah, for me, I'm a graduate from Liverpool. I lived in China, in Canada for a few years. I've worked in London as well for a few years before coming and working for Liverpool John Moores. So yeah, a lot of experience within student recruitment and working within education. But I'll pass you on to Shakil now to give a little introduction to himself.
Thank you, Nick. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Shakil Chaudhry. I'm the head of pharmacy here at Liverpool John Moores University. Hamza has asked me to give you a short biography, so I'll give you a little bit about my life. I'm originally a Pakistani, but I was born and bred in the United Kingdom and educated in the UK. I did my first degree in pharmacy way back in 1994. And then I went on to study a PhD in pharmacy, completed that in 1999 and got my first academic post in Liverpool John Moores University in 2000. So I've been at the university as an academic for about 20 years. I started off originally as a lecturer, moved on to a senior lecturer, and then onto a principal lecturer. Then I became the program leader of pharmacy. And from there, I've now recently become the head of pharmacy, the subject head of pharmacy. And I'm really here to give you a little bit of an insight into pharmacy in the UK. And if you were to come to Liverpool, what you can expect from the undergraduate program we have to offer. I'll answer any questions you may have also.
Thank you so much, Sir Shakil, for this brief introduction. And I hope, you know, whenever people will ask for Liverpool John Moores University, they will never forget you. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So over to you, Nicholas.
Okay, so I will just share my screen.
Here we go.
Okay, so I'll just give a quick overview of Liverpool John Moores University and the programmes, scholarships, entry requirements, that kind of thing very quickly. But really I'd like you to make the most of having Shakil here. He's an expert in his field and really, you know, pharmacy is what you're interested in, biomedical sciences, pharmaceutical sciences. He's the man to really ask questions to in that area. So first of all, for Liverpool John Moores, we are hoping for a September start date. That this year will be the 28th of September. And I think the aim of the university is to have that as blended learning. It'll be a mixture of online classes, probably more the large scale lectures, which will be done online, and then sort of more interactive smaller groups that will do face-to-face learning on campus. So we are putting preparations in place for that and to continue with a September start date. And that's kind of the message we've got at the moment. Okay, so first of all, I'll show you a very quick video So this is one of our students who recently graduated from Liverpool John Moores, and gives you a little view of Liverpool as well. Okay, so I gave you a little view of Liverpool there. Okay, so I'm not sure if any of you know Liverpool, but it's a very big global city in the UK. In terms of the city being a student city, there's about 70,000 students in Liverpool as a total. About 23,000 of those are at Liverpool John Moores University. We have students from over 100 different countries, so it's a real global community on campus. As well as that, Liverpool is home to some of the oldest international communities from China, from Africa, from South Asia. So it's a real global city to be a student in the UK. So just to give you a little point, that's where Liverpool is. So northwest, we're by the coast. So it's very nice this time of year. It's 26 degrees at the moment, so that's very hot for us. I know that may seem cold to you, but that's hot for us. So, you know, the beaches are nice this time of year up in Liverpool. But again, so in terms of the location, it's about 2 hours from London by train. Trains go regularly about, once every hour. We're 40 minutes or so from Manchester Airport. So if you fly into Manchester, we do actually offer airport pickup for free when you do arrive. So as long as you apply for that airport pickup, we do pick you up from the airport and get you settled into accommodation as well. So again, that ease of access to the rest of the UK is brilliant from Liverpool, making it one of the top student destinations. Okay, so again, obviously Liverpool is very famous for the football. Today it's just been announced that the Premier League will go ahead on the 17th of June, so we fully expect Liverpool to win the league in June, so that's a great thing for the city, something they've been waiting for a very long time. But again, the history, the culture of Liverpool was a lot on in terms of music. We're the global capital of pop music. There's film locations, so Harry Potter, Fast and Furious. There's a new Batman film that's all being filmed in Liverpool at the moment, and probably going into the next few months as well. We have lots of galleries, museums, actually the most outside of London. So there's a lot of entertainment, a lot of things to do in Liverpool. So you definitely won't be bored as a student here. But again, I think really what a key point is that the city is very compact. You can walk everywhere, so your accommodation will be based in the city centre. The campus is based in the city centre as well, so everything's walkable. So you have no costs really for transport. So again, that saves you money. Liverpool is very affordable. If you compare it to sort of Manchester, Birmingham, obviously London, the cost of eating out, the cost of shopping is a lot cheaper in Liverpool. So you do get a lot more for your money. And that would be the same for the accommodation as well. So our accommodation starts from about £90 per week. And that's very cheap for the UK, and the quality that you get as well. It's all modern accommodation with great facilities. So that affordability aspect is key for us really, and it makes Liverpool a top choice is looking for an affordable place to live and study in the UK. Okay, so if we just have a quick look at sort of the history, and Shaquille will be happy to see this stat here, that in 1849 we have the first school of pharmacy in Europe. But these other stats as well really show that the university is a pioneering university. It's always thinking ahead. We've been first foot in a lot of different areas, as you can see, such as mechanics, art school, but also sports sciences and pharmacy as well. So we are very much leading the way in a lot of research that we do and the courses that we offer, and the content of those courses as well. I'm sure Shaquille can say a bit more about the pharmacy course and how we sort of developed that to look at things going forward in the future as well. Okay, so that's just kind of an overview of the programs that we offer across the different schools at the university. So it's a lot that we offer. We offer pretty much everything you can think of, except medicine. So you look at the arts, where we do architecture, we do sort of fine art, graphic design, illustration, interior architecture, very strong courses. Our architecture program is regularly in the top 20 in the UK, and it's fully RIBA accredited, and that's based in the John Lennon Art and Design building. So John Lennon was actually a student at Liverpool John Moores, so that's a good little start to say if you came and did architecture with us, you're in the same school that John Lennon was in. And then if we look at sort of Faculty of Business and Law, so we do the courses in sort of business management. Accounting and finance is actually very strong for us this year. So we are 9th in the UK for accounting and finance, and that has triple accreditation as well. So that's a really top program for us in the business school. But then we also do law, international business law as well at postgraduate level, and investment and finance as well that we do at postgraduate level within that business school. And then sort of we go into engineering and technology, where we do sort of architectural engineering, civil engineering, mechanical, electrical engineering. And overall, again, we're ranked 9th in the UK for general engineering. So it's a very strong course area for us, and the facilities are world class. So it's excellent facilities that you get to make use of, and you can be involved in research throughout your course at undergraduate and postgraduate level as well. And a growing area for the university within that faculty is the computer sciences and cyber security. We're seeing a lot of interest, especially in our cyber security programs at the moment, and that's really a growing area and an area that we are very strong as well. Within health, really our most popular programs probably in public health and international public health. You know, top programs for us again in that area. And then we go on to Shaquille's specialist area in the sciences, which will be pharmacy, biomedical sciences, and then at postgraduate level where we do niche areas such as cosmetic science and drug discovery. So there's a lot of different areas that we do at the university. Okay, so employability is something I think that's key for the university. It's something that we really develop our courses for, is to ensure that you as a student, you know, are employable at the end of your program. I think Shaquille can talk specifically about pharmacy and the employability from that program, which is excellent. I believe it's been 100% employability at times, so it's a really strong course. But in terms of employability, all our programs are developed to give you work experience and first-hand work experience as part of the program. So if you look at some of our computer science courses, you get to do placements with the likes of Sony, who have a head office in Liverpool. And if you do mechanical engineering, you get to do placement with Jaguar and Land Rover. Again, they have a base up in the northwest of the UK, close to Liverpool. So a lot of work placements that are actually built into the course. So they're modules that you do. So you will get, you know, that exposure to industry leading organizations to really build a network and have something that you can talk about on your CV and in interviews. when you graduate. Obviously this year as well, we are working with the post-study work visa. So you will be allowed to stay in the UK for 2 years after you graduate. So again, that's a really positive thing for the UK and for us as a university that's really pushing your employability to really get work once you graduate. So as an international student, you have every opportunity the same as a UK student to get work afterwards, and that extra 2 years gives you a good chance and extra time to really get that top job that you want. So accommodation, we touched on it briefly. So, I mean, the cost ranges from about £90 per week up to about £170 per week, depending on what you want. Obviously, the higher end is basically your own apartment in the city centre, and the cheaper end is still usually your own bedroom and bathroom, but in a smaller room, and that would be £90. All the accommodation is walking distance to where you study and walking distance to the restaurants, the shops, and the waterfront of Liverpool. So everything's very close. So you don't really need public transport. The only time you would need that is if you wanted to go to London or Manchester, something like that, something further away. On your day-to-day sort of weekly life in Liverpool, everything is very much walking distance, which is very much a positive in terms of affordability and ease, really, of studying in Liverpool. Okay, so student life. So something that we do offer all our students is a very proactive students' union with over 100 different clubs and societies that you can join, so whether that's sports teams or international societies. So for example, we do have like a Pakistan society where you can meet other students from Pakistan as a group. But we also do the international society where that's all international students and some UK students that get to do trips and activities together. So they go to London, they go up to Scotland. I think last few years they've done trips over to Europe as an international society. And often a lot of that activity can be free as well. So it's a good way to meet people from different countries, have an active social life as well in Liverpool. Yeah, and again, sort of going on to that affordability side, so we do offer free gym memberships for all our students, as well as free tickets to various exhibitions and theatre shows. We offer discounted tickets to Everton games as well. Unfortunately, we don't offer them for Liverpool games. It's impossible to get tickets for most of us. So you can go and see a Premier League game, but it would have to be Everton. And we do offer discounts for Everton tickets as well. But you do generally, with your student card, get discounts at restaurants, retail, any shops in Liverpool. You can generally get a discount with your student card. So again, that affordability side, once you're in Liverpool, is great. Okay, so very quickly, looking at the entry requirements. So these would be the typical entry requirements that we ask for from Pakistan for undergraduates. So that will be a 2-year bachelor degree or associate degree from a recognised university with 55% or above, or a 2.7 GPA. And then the other option will be applicants holding only intermediate, higher secondary certificate require an international foundation year. Typically for English, we will be looking at an IELTS, and that varies between courses. Typically for undergraduate, it will be an IELTS of 6 with a minimum 5.5. Pharmacy will be different. That will be an IELTS of 7 with 6.5 in each component for pharmacy. We are being a little bit more flexible in terms of other language tests that we can accept at the moment, bearing in mind that you may have to do your English test online. So for example, TOEFL have an option, Pearson English have an option online as well. IELTS indicator test as well, which you can also do online at the moment, is another option that you can do. So you can do your IELTS test online, and it's called IELTS indicator. and we can accept that as well at the moment. Okay, and then postgraduate, typically we'd be looking for a 4-year bachelor degree with an overall grade of 55%, a 2-year bachelor degree plus a 2-year master's with, again, over that 55% mark, or a 3-year bachelor degree plus 1-year master's degree with a minimum grade of 55%. Again, the English would be looking for an IELTS ideally, and that again ranges between different courses. So some will be IELTS of 6.0, but it's best to check the individual course on the website. So it's typically IELTS 6.5 or 6.0 depending on the program. Okay, so admissions, I don't think I really need to go over this too much. FES are there to support you for your admissions and submitting applications. So any applications that you would like to make, Hamza, I'm sure, will give you his details and is happy to be in touch with you in terms of the admissions side and supporting your application to Liverpool John Moores. So it's very easy. Speak to Hamza and he'll sort you out for the application side. And in terms of the documents that you need and things like that, he's there to support you. Okay, so tuition fees. So basically we have 2 different fees that varies on the classroom-based course and the lab-based course. So if it's a classroom-based program, it will be £15,600 per year, and that's postgraduate and undergraduate level. If it's lab-based, so that will be an engineering or a science program, it will be £16,100 per year. And again, that will be at undergraduate and at postgraduate level. But we do have scholarships. So currently available, we have the International Achievement Scholarship, which is £3,000. So that's an automatic discount. So if we go back, if you do the lab-based course, it would actually be £13,100, and the classroom-based will be £12,600. That's automatic. You don't need to do anything for that scholarship. Unfortunately, the regional scholarship, the deadline has now passed for that. So that was an additional £3,000. That scholarship, the deadline was about 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. So that has passed, but you will be guaranteed to get that £3,000 achievement scholarship, which is a discount on your tuition fee. Obviously, other external bodies such as the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship we accept as well, and Achievement Scholarship would be other alternatives. Yeah, so if you do submit an application to Liverpool John Moores as an offer holder, you will be able to use Campus Connect. So that's an app that we have. It allows you to communicate with the university. So the marketing team, the admissions team, current students, but also students that will also be joining us in September. So you can get you can virtually meet people before you arrive. It's a great way to meet people on your course in the same accommodation, perhaps people traveling from Pakistan as well, potentially even on the same flight. So it's a great way to really socialise and communicate with people virtually before you actually arrive in Liverpool. So really recommend any student that applies to download that app and get communicating with fellow students before you arrive. But I think generally that's about it, but I'll leave my email address there for you. But really I want to highlight you really asking as many questions as possible to Shaquille about pharmacy. It's a fantastic programme. And as I said earlier, the first school of pharmacy in Europe was at Liverpool John Moores University. So it's a really top programme, and Shaquille, I know, will talk very well about that and give a highlight, but please get your questions in about pharmacy specifically. And we'll be delighted to answer those questions. Okay, so I think if I maybe pass on to Shaquille to maybe give a brief overview of pharmacy and what the course is like, and I could probably ask him a few questions a bit later, but if, first of all, we do a brief overview of the course, Shaquille. And, yeah.
Thank you so much, Nicholas, for this brief introduction and the presentation. I personally have a question before we could move on to the comment section. And Mr. Shakil Chaudhary, you have just notified us 3,250 pounds of industrial placement. I would like you to just elaborate for us what exactly is industrial placement.
Okay, so some of our master's programs are 2-year masters. So we have a few business programs and programs in electrical engineering. So they are 2 years. So for example, if you do electrical engineering masters, that's 2 years. The first year is the full taught masters for the 1 year. Then the second year is an industrial placement that is paid in engineering. So that fee is for that second year of the industrial placement. So it's 3,250 or 3,400 for that second year. And it's the same for some of the business programs as well. So we do, for example, international business management with advanced practice. So it'll be a 2-year program, and you do consultancy work as part of that. So 1 year would be the full tuition fee, and the second year would be the smaller fee of 3,000.
Okay. So moving on to Mr. Shakil Chaudhary. I will address all the questions later. So once again, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
So I would like you to tell us about pharmacy, because medicine, pharmacy, related to courses to pharmacy and medicine, they are very much popular over here in Pakistan. So
Okay, yeah.
I would like you to just tell us about that.
Okay, indeed, pharmacy is popular around the world. Very popular in the UK, and as I'm sure it is in Pakistan as well. So as Nick has already mentioned, we're one of the oldest schools of pharmacy within the world, and we're quite proud of that tradition in that we have a lot of experience of teaching pharmacy. In 2015, we changed the way we taught pharmacy. If you think about traditional methods of teaching, you're taught, certainly in Pakistan and in the UK, in the early years, very subject-specific information, maybe chemistry, maybe biology, maybe mathematics. But the reality is, when you go into a profession like pharmacy or medicine, you're dealing with patients with certain issues and problems. So we decided in 2015 that we would adopt the way we teach pharmacy so that it's taught in the way that you would practice pharmacy. And we call that an integrated approach. What that means is that if we're teaching you about chest infections, we won't teach you about the chemistry separate and the biology separate and the medicine separate. We'll teach it all in an integrated way. So you may learn about the anatomy of the chest. You may learn about how a healthy lung works. You may learn about how diseased lungs work, and then how to correct those. On top of that, we'll teach you about how to behave in a professional manner. The example I'll give you here is, if you give some information to a patient, irrespective of whether it's correct or not, if it's not done in a professional manner, then there's a likelihood that you will have little confidence from that patient. So we will teach you how to communicate and behave in a professional manner. So essentially, our program is about giving you the knowledge base, but also about showing you how to use that knowledge in the correct way, which is expected of a professional such as a pharmacist. Now, our program itself is accredited by the regulatory body, which is the General Pharmaceutical Council. And they would monitor the standards that we've got. We had our first monitoring in 2015, and I'm pleased to say that the GPHC, the General Pharmaceutical Council, approved our program for the maximum length, which is 6 years. They also do an interim visit after 3 years. And that interim visit is really just checking that what we said in 2015 is actually happening. And again, I'm pleased to say that when we had the interim visit in 2018, They were extremely happy with the standards that we got. So we were very happy generally with the program that we developed. Now, I said we redeveloped the program in 2015. The redevelopment process took us a total of 3 years. And within those 3 years, we spoke to previous students about the program. We spoke to leading employers within industrial pharmacy, within hospital pharmacy, and within community pharmacy. So experts in pharmacy, as well as approximately 60 academics within our own department in pharmacy. We looked at all of that information and we developed a program which we thought was the best it can be. And we genuinely believe it's one of the best courses of pharmacy within the world. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that hopefully gives you a little bit of an overview. I'm hoping that what I've said will provoke some questions and I'll try and answer those questions. Something I did miss out was, in order to develop you as a professional, we focus a lot on developing you as an individual so that you are a professional. And that's not just in the classroom or in the laboratories, it's actually working in the real world of pharmacy. So throughout the 4-year program, you will be expected to do structured placements in pharmacy settings, whether that be in a community pharmacy, in a hospital pharmacy, or in industrial pharmacy. And those placements aren't simply add-ons, they're actually integrated with what you're learning. The example I gave you was, if we're teaching you about chest infections, then you're likely to have a placement which is linked to you seeing patients with obstructive pulmonary disease, so asthma or bronchitis in hospitals, so that you can realize that you're actually treating patients. It's not simply about giving medicines. It's about giving medicines to the right patient at the right time and understanding the consequences of those actions. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a brief overview of pharmacy. I'm ready for any questions you may have, Hamza.
Yeah, definitely. Because being a counselor, I have a lot of questions. I'll be back on the comment box. But before going to the Facebook, checking the conversation, I have a question for Nicholas. That for pharmacy, the eligibility criteria is the same, or is a bit standard is being raised, like 55% is a very common percentage over here in Pakistan. So for getting in pharmacy, is there any higher percentage required, or still a 55 percentage guy could be dealt with this pharmacy?
I would say generally pharmacy the entry requirements would usually be a bit higher for pharmacy than most programs, and that's certainly typical for the English. So it's something that we do require, is that real strength in English, which is why the requirement for that is IELTS of 7. Obviously, they'd be looking for a background within the sciences, so specifically biology, chemistry is what we would be looking for. I think 55% is the guideline for most programs at the university. So I think it should be okay as long as the background is within sort of the science areas of biology and chemistry, and the English is high enough. It would be okay.
Okay.
I don't know if Shakil, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so sorry, yes, I will add a little bit to that. The pharmacy program is a very rewarding program, but it's a very challenging program. It's not an easy degree. You have to work very, very hard. And we're not shy to tell you that you have to work hard. Essentially, the way we package it is that we have 4 years to teach you the knowledge and skills to allow you to practice pharmacy for the next 40 years. So there's a lot of information and a lot of complicated science involved in that, which ranges from basic science right through to using that science in clinical practice. The consequence of that is that because the program is in English, we would need our students to have a good command of English. And our current requirements are that all students must have an IELTS of 7.0 with a minimum of 6.5 in each section. That is a little bit high, I know, but our experience is that if students achieve that, they have a high likelihood of doing very well in the program. To add to this, we have a lot of international students on our pharmacy programs. I would say roughly around about 80 to 100 of our students across the 4 years are from outside of the United Kingdom. And that ranges from the United Kingdom to Malaysia, to Kuwait, to Saudi Arabia. And for the where English isn't the first language, our requirements are always the same in that we would expect an IELTS of 7.0.
Because as far as I'm concerned, medicine has always been very integrated degree. So, you know, all of the percentages would be very high for that. So if you guys allow me, let me just start reading the comments from the Facebook section. So Shevaria says, hello everybody, hello everyone. Everyone is greeting us. Let me just make a fit because we are having a issue over there. Some kind of distortion is being in the line. Ali Khan says, good evening. Mavish Rafiq says, hello everyone. Hello Mavish. Ali Kazmi says, hello everyone. Good evening everyone. Thank you so much. So let's move on to the questions. Rahil Shanglavi. Mashallah, our beloved supporter and mentor is here for us to guide us and support us in such a wonderful career. Thank you so much, Rahil. I wish that I could see you again in another section. Okay, Fawad Ali is asking, Liverpool John Moores University accepts English proficiency instead of IELTS. This is a question for Nicholas.
Yeah, so at the moment, obviously, we recognise it's quite difficult to get your IELTS test under the current situation. So there are a number of online options that we are accepting. So one of those would be the IELTS indicator test, Pearson English and TOEFL as well. They all offer online options for you. Another one is actually called Duolingo, which is an app that you can do on your phone, and that costs about £40 to do it, and you get the results pretty much instantly as well. So obviously that's a temporary measure that we're doing for this year, only when we would accept Duolingo. I'm not sure pharmacy would be accepting that, but I think most programs will be, but I'm not sure Shakil has heard about Duolingo or...
No, I haven't, but I'm not sure whether the question was directed at pharmacy or just general programs within Liverpool John Moores University. If it is pharmacy, at the moment, the only English qualification that we will accept is IELTS. And that's really just to ensure that the standards are there and they can cope with the programs.
Yeah, so the option for that would be the IELTS indicator test, which is essentially the IELTS online at the moment, because the centres are shut. So that will be the one to go for if it's pharmacy. For most other programs, as I say, we'd accept TOEFL, Duolingo, and Pearson English as well.
Okay, so I have another question regarding of this IELTS. This is for Sir Shakil. That IELTS would be UK VI or standard IELTS would be accommodated by the pharmacy department?
Nick, would you know the answer to that one?
I think it will be the UKVI.
Okay. So that should be specifically UKVI. And I would love to repeat it again for all those viewers who are watching me, that if you wanted to go for the pharmacy, you need to have an IELTS of 6.5 in every module and 7 overall. Am I correct?
Yeah.
I'm correct? Thank
That's
you.
correct.
So let me just move on to another question. I hope, Mr. Fawad, you have got all a brief answer from your question. Okay. There's a distortion. I've got it from my sir. Sir, I hope there is no such distortion now. So Mr. Fawad Ali is asking, classes will be an online or a face-to-face in September intake? Nicholas.
So we are expecting a September start date. I think most programs are looking to start on the 28th of September. Every year anyway, we do have a late start date. So if you ended up coming early October, that will be okay as well. But we are expecting classes to be blended, so a blend of online and face-to-face. I think how that would work is that the large-scale lectures would be done online, and then the more sort of lab-based stuff will be done in very small groups on campus. So I think that's sort of the route we're going down. I know the university is now putting a lot of measures in place to apply social distancing on campus. So that could be one-way systems of getting around the university and campus. Again, keeping groups small and in classrooms that are bigger to allow for that social distancing. But those large-scale lectures where you have big lecture theatres with 100 people or so in it, very much they will be done online in the first semester. But we are hoping again to keep them interactive as a way that you can still meet with your fellow students and your tutors virtually online, and keep sessions interactive, because that is very important for students learning. So that is very much probably the method that we're going for the first semester, with the hope that maybe in the second semester, there can be a bit more interaction and face-to-face going then. But very much there will be a face-to-face element in September, just smaller groups.
Okay. So we could hope for the best for having a face-to-face session in September as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question is, how much CGPA is required for postgraduate? So I would love to answer this as well. That CGPA requirement for postgraduate is 2.5 and 55% in your undergrad. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Oh, that's nice. So my question for Sir Shakil Chaudhary, that 2.5 CGPA is required for post-graduation in Liverpool John Moores, right? What about pharmacy?
Well, I'm not familiar with the CGPA, but I would assume it would be around about 3, Nick?
Yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit higher, maybe sort of 2.7 and above for pharmacy. Generally, the requirement will be a little bit higher. But obviously, we're looking for students to have done well in sciences, especially.
So
I think what I would also add to that is that, as well as an academic background and obviously the English, we're looking for motivation. So anything that supports the application in terms of what experience or what's motivating a student to want to study pharmacy can only help their application. Certainly what I do know with the international team with Nick is that any queries like that would come directly to us. And our experience has shown that if they have motivation, that allows us to be a little bit more flexible. Not much, but it does give us some flexibility.
okay, so I could take it like, as per Nick says, 2.7 or 3 CGPA, that would be around of 65% or 70%, which is what actually is the requirement from most of the universities for pharmacy.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone who is listening me and watching me is getting their answers, because I was not taking names. So guys, I hope you have got all your answers. So another question, Gia Ali is asking, how much study gap is accepted? This is Nicholas. I wanted to fabricate this question. How much study gap for undergrad and for postgrad both is accepted by the university?
So is that a time where they haven't been studying?
If you're talking
Qualifications or
undergrad, like after 12th year for HSC, if a student have a gap, so how much gap?
I don't think it particularly matters too much what the gap is. Obviously, they'll look at circumstances of why there was a gap, but I don't think it would be a factor of rejecting a student. I don't think. So it's not a big matter really. I don't think in terms of what that gap is. Obviously, they look at students maybe. What have they been doing in that time? Have they been working? And obviously that would be a benefit to the application anyway.
Okay. And what about the people who have done their undergraduate from over here and they wanted to go for post-graduation?
Yeah, that will be fine.
Okay, because over here, to be very honest with you, sometimes it does happen that after 12th standard, they wanted to go for higher studies abroad, but eventually what they do, they get into a university over here in their local hood. So that makes a span of like an year, for example. So is it justifiable from a student that if he has a gap of for an year after his 12th standard of qualification to get into the university, it would be acceptable?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Shekil, you wanted to add on something?
Yeah. Just to add to that, ultimately, as Nick has said, it really is important to understand what the individual has been doing during the gap period. In the past, I've accepted students who have had a 3-year gap, but they've been undertaking paid work, which is relevant to pharmacy. So they maybe as a pharmacy technician, which has developed their knowledge in the pharmacy arena. So ultimately, what we would have to do is look at it on a case-by-case basis and then make decisions on that.
Because the reason I raised this question, especially for you, Sir Shakil, is that you have been to Pakistan a lot. After intermediate, FSC, this is what we always call it for the people who are going for medical head.
Yes.
Do after the intermediate, they started practicing as a medical rep, medical representative. They started working in pharmacies. They just went on to the doctor just to gain a prior level to get into a university to do their medicine or any kind of subjects related to medicine. That is why that is the most, curious I was about to ask for this question because gap. For example, if a person has done his bachelor's and he is working somewhere, he has all the documents with him, experience letters, it's obviously a very big thing. But after 12th education, it's a bit tricky thing for the people. Okay, so move on to another question. Let me just check. Give me a second. Good initiative for current generation. Thank you so much, Sebarias. I don't find any questions, but I have a lot of questions to be very honest with you, because I have always been prepared myself before, pardon, this session starts. So the most important thing for pharmacy, what exactly is the fee?
What is exactly the fee, did you say?
Yes. The cost for a year.
Right. Okay. So I think Nick in his presentation has outlined that the standard fees are 16,100.
16,100. Yeah.
But he's also mentioned that there is an automatic £3,000 bursary. So 13,100 are the university fees. And would you say approximately 8,000 or 9,000 for everything else for living expenses, Nick?
Yeah, maybe even less than that. Definitely sort of between 7,000 and 8,000. Which, you'd have a nice accommodation. You'd be living comfortably in Liverpool for a year. So yeah, I'd say between 7,000 and 8,000 pounds for living cost.
Yeah, because I was going on to that because in your presentation you just mentioned 70 to 90 pounds for a week. So that's very good accommodation.
Yeah. I mean, £90 per week is a very good price accommodation in the UK. And again, it's very, very close to where you study, so there's no travel costs at all in Liverpool, so you save on that money as well. If you're in London, for example, you're probably living sort of a 20-30 minute tube ride from where you're studying. Not only is that a long time to get to class, it's the cost of it as well. Very expensive. So obviously you save that by being with us. And that's a big saving. Over a 4-year program, for example, doing MPharm, that's a lot of money you save over that time period. And so definitely something I think to consider when you're choosing a university.
Another question I have from Mr. Shakil is, please unmute it. Now there is a distortion in my. Just give me a moment. I cannot do that. Yes. Can you hear me now? Both of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Because there was a distortion in the internet, and to be very honest with you, over here, internet sometimes it really makes put us in trouble because my sir is watching, our bosses are watching us. Like, so my question was, if I'm talking about specifically pharmacy, so how could I elaborate it to the students? Is it an MBBS or any you can say any specific degree in medicine, or it could be biosciences, it could be I'm just curious to know about this.
Okay, yeah, a very good question. It is a very specific degree. In the UK, the word pharmacy is a protected title. So any degree which offers pharmacy is accredited by the General Pharmaceutical Council. And the final qualification that you get at the end is an undergraduate master's program. It's an M.Pharm. It's called an M.Pharm. And that's internationally recognized.
Okay, that's nice, because I was a bit curious about to get to know what would be the label of the degree.
Yeah,
Um, because I need to look on from the both sides, from the student side as well and from the counseling side as well.
of
So,
course.
guys, if you do have any questions, please write it down, because I can see a lot of people joining us right now. But why you guys are not asking me questions? I am here with Mr. Nicholas and Mr. Shakil Chaudhary for your answers. So, because I have a lot of questions to ask. So, move on to another. Hello everyone. Good evening. So, is there anything you would like to add on from your side, Mr. Nicholas?
I think that's everything that was covered really in the presentation. I think it's just sort of when you're picking a university, very much look at the course that you're interested in, because a lot of different universities specialize in different areas. So for us, pharmacy, it's definitely one of the it's top university in the UK for pharmacy. So really look at your program that you want to study specifically, and see which university is strong in that area. And I really advise students for that. So for us, we're looking at engineering, sciences, accounting and finance, architecture, cyber security, strong courses that I know are popular in Pakistan. And I think along with our tuition fee, it's, and with the scholarship, it's reasonably priced. The affordability of Liverpool as a city, it's really a strong option for students from Pakistan. And I think, it's looking, at alternatives and what university fits you. The teaching methods in universities are different as well. We are very much a practical based university that's focusing on that employability, giving you lab experience, practical experience, industry experience as part of the program. If that's something that, is the student likes and what the student wants, then, you'd be looking at us rather than a university where you're going to be sat in lectures 90% of the time. We're very much a hands-on university, getting you that work experience and making you employable. So again, that's another thing to look at when you're looking at making the decision, really. So there's a lot to think about.
Anything you would like to add on, Sir Shakil?
Well, I think Nick has summarized it very well. But just to add, certainly with respect to pharmacy, we have a lot of experience of teaching pharmacy, especially international students. And one of the highlights for me is teaching international students. A lot of our Middle Eastern students who graduated from us are now in very high top-end jobs within the Ministry of Health within their respective countries. And that gives me some satisfaction in knowing that we've taught them to a very, very high standard. And personally, being from Pakistan, I think it would be really good to get more Pakistani students from Pakistan. We've got a lot of British-born Pakistanis. I'd love to have some national Pakistanis coming, learning from us and going back to your country and doing very well. as I said, we focus on developing the individual to become very strong professionals. We teach you leadership skills so that you don't just settle for being a professional. We want you to be the best that you can be, and we'll always be provoking you to and challenging you to make you the best that you can be.
Thank you so much for this concern. So I have a question before we move on to closing. This is a question for both the panelists. Is there any kind of exemption in IELTS from the students who are already being enrolled in A levels? Nicholas, please.
So I think if they're doing A levels and obviously it's taught in English, I think there can be an exemption for that. Obviously they will be looking, for high grades on the A levels. But yeah, I think there is exemption for that as long as they're doing A levels. It's a British curriculum. So yeah, there is an exemption if they're doing A levels.
Over to you, Mr. Shakir.
Yeah, just to say exactly the same thing, we would look at what the highest qualification is. If that is in English and it meets our standard of GCSE English, we would use that. And again, we've routinely taken international students who have undertaken their highest qualification as A levels in English and achieved the grade. So that would suffice.
So I would like to ask the lead now. Thank you so much, both of you, and Chaudhary, for your time. It was lovely having you both, and I would like to see you very soon in this session. And is there anything you would like to add on, and could tell us about this pandemic situation, any references from the UK to let people know how to maintain safe distance, because people are not listening, and I am tired of telling them that they need to maintain this. So thank you, Mr. Shakir.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I was saying if you could add up on for this COVID-19 situation, anything for the students, for the people who are watching you, who are listening.
Yeah, just to add, Liverpool generally is a very student-friendly city. We actually, something you forgot to add, Nick, was that it has the first mosque in the United Kingdom in Liverpool.
Yeah.
So that was in 1890, so over 130 years ago, the first mosque was there. So we have, it is a very cosmopolitan city, and we have a lot of expertise, and indeed a lot of our academics are involved in the COVID fight at a national level. There's something called PCRs, which are used in detecting COVID. And a lot of our equipment, PCR machines, have been donated to the government to support in the testing process within COVID. And indeed, I would imagine that if you do come to study pharmacy in Liverpool, one of the topics I'll be teaching you is about the coronavirus and COVID.
For sure. So thank you so much, Nicholas. Thank you so much, Mr. Shakir.
Thank you very much.
You guys. And
Thank
I would
you.
say thanks to everyone who's watching me live with Mr. Nicholas and Mr. Shakil from Liverpool John Moores University. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope I will be back soon with another university, as I always promise, and I do so. So I would like to, ask, and there is a shout out for everyone. As you see, we have top fans on Facebook. So just do follow us so you could never miss any kind of updates from our side. Thank you so much, everyone. I wish you all the healthy life, all the best of luck for your future studies. And we wish and we pray that this COVID-19 situation would be end up very soon. And yes, you guys can go and, study abroad and do, because this is the most biggest concern from the students. But I always got that, sir, please tell us that if the class would be online or face-to-face. So yes, we are hoping for our best that in September, the classes would be face-to-face, inshallah. So thank you once again from both the panelists, from the whole FES team, to everyone who is watching us, who is listening us. Have a healthy life. Stay safe. Good night. Allah Hafiz. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.